said the central government was greatly concerned about the current situation. Zhang Xiaoming called the Occupy Central protest a violation of the one country, two systems policy, a challenge to the central government, and a serious political incident. He says the protests are illegal activities which go against the Hong Kong SAR's basic law and local laws. But China's foreign ministry has once again stressed that no other country can interfere with the affairs of Hong Kong. The comment comes following a statement that was submitted by the British Foreign Ministry to the Parliament on the situation in Hong Kong.
We have stated on multiple occasions that the affairs of Hong Kong are the internal affairs of China. No other country or individual has the right to interfere. Issues regarding Hong Kong's political reform need to be carried out in accordance with the Hong Kong Basic Law and relevant decisions by the National People's Congress. We ask the British government to be cautious with words and actions, not to interfere in Hong Kong affairs and send the wrong signal.
And now for the very latest from Hong Kong, we are joined by our reporter Duran, who is live in Hong Kong. Duran, good evening. Now it's 18 days into the protests in Hong Kong. How are things going on the ground?
Well, today, Assistant Transport Commissioner Albert Su blamed the barricades set by the protesters for a 7-kilometer-long traffic jam. Also, there was a rise in illegal parking on Gloucester and Hennis roads, and that nearly 250 bus routes were still either suspended or diverted. The latest here is the government is hopeful that it can make an announcement about talks with the students on political reform within days. The Secretary of Constitutional Affairs, Raymond Tam, said efforts were being made to revive the talks through what he called a well-respected middleman, but he did not give a time frame as to when the talks could be start. The talk scheduled for last Friday between the Chief Secretary Carrie Lam and student leaders was cut off by the government. Meanwhile, today Hong Kong's richest man Li Ka-shing released a statement saying, "We can understand students' passion, but their pursuit needs to be guided by wisdom. All people must abide by law, and Hong Kong police have been defending the city's law and order. It will be Hong Kong's biggest sorrow if the rule of law is undermined." He said, "My young friends, you have successfully conveyed your messages and everyone has heard you. I urge all of you not to let today's enthusiasm turn into tomorrow's regret." Speaking of the city's rule of law, it is being challenged again and again in the past 17 days. Let's take a look. Police were surrounded by protesters and forced to retreat momentarily. This was in Admiralty, where the government headquarters is located. There was a sudden rush of protesters to block Long Wall Road, preventing traffic from passing. They set up layers and layers of fencing and moved in different formations to seal off the road, expanding their protest site, which had been narrowed earlier by the police. Police said their actions were fast and experienced. Police then tried to remove the barricades, triggering a standoff. 45 people were detained for illegal assembly and obstructing the police.
Many protesters used umbrellas and legs to hit and kick at police, but later raised their hands to say they were innocent. I think people saw that. This is their so-called peaceful protest.
A while later, everything seemed to be back to normal. After 9 of clashes, as you can see, the Long Wall Road over there, which is close to the Chief Executive's office, is reopened to traffic. But still, a few police are standby here in case any more emergencies happen, and in case the student protesters come out to block the road again. And over here, you see the students are resting and seem very calm now. But some are now saying that it suddenly became a cat and mouse game. The police just removed the barricades here, but the protesters come out to set up the new barricades there. It's a city, it's aimed for rule of law, but it seems that it totally lost in these protesters' heart. Just a few yards away, the Legislative Council held its first meeting since the protests began. 37 legislative councillors proposed investigating the Occupy Central movement, saying the illegal assembly has hit Hong Kong's economy, tear the society apart, and put the students' future in danger.
We request that the investigation trace the source of funds supporting the protest, look into social problems, safety concerns, economic costs to the society, and other related issues.
Meanwhile, the voices against the protests are growing louder and louder. An 85-year-old even came out to persuade the students to find a peaceful outlet for their opinions. As he knelt down in front of student leaders, he said it was not easy for Hong Kong to reach the prosperity today, but that prosperity could change overnight if the protests drag on. Judan, CCTV, Hong Kong.
Had over frayed nerves. In Shanghai, residents and tourists alike are warming up to the idea of stand-up comedy at a popular venue in the city. And Lin Nan visits the Kung Fu Comedy Club to find out why the stand-up is stand out.
A quick joke with the music as companion. 27-year-old Stone Xu is warming up, but not to hit the gym. Stone is about to open his stand-up at a Kung Fu Comedy Club in Shanghai. Hidden in a cozy back room of a sports bar in the city, it's under the spotlight where Stone fights his inner self.
This is the only place I can be real and I can say whatever in my mind.
After he graduated from college in Australia 3 years ago, Stone came back to Shanghai and began working as a motor mechanic. Getting hooked on stand-up comedy abroad, Stone knew he wanted a crack at it. He approached Kung Fu Comedy Club for his debut and quickly became a regular on their stage.
Let the world see what a young generation of Chinese guy thinks and looks like, and what he wants to do, what his perspective about the globe, the whole world.
The club is the only full-time comedy club in the Chinese mainland.
It's pretty good for free comedy. In New York, they always have a drink minimum, so it's just the jokes are just as good. It's not like it's any better in New York when you see.
There were very few Chinese in the audience when the club began. However, with more Chinese having overseas experience moving back to Shanghai, the proportion of Chinese in the audience is getting larger.
It is great fun. I like the way they perform, and the performers are brilliant. I come here from time to time. Maybe I'll tell my jokes one day.
Despite the culture gap and language differences, a good laugh is what this place is about.
Great comedians write jokes that are personal, but anyone can get. So I think that cultural gaps, it's more about how good the comedian is at bridging that.
Making jokes of ourselves, seeing the world from a new perspective, and sharing a hearty laughter. That's what gathers people from all walks of life here, because a sense of humor will always make your life easier.